Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive wisdom and insights, and we go as guided. High-octane energies. Welcome, Kiki. Welcome, Alicia. Welcome from around the globe as you're watching. We are here at Season 5 of Weekly Wisdom and Insights. And there is so much to cover, so let's get straight to it. Welcome, Deborah. Welcome, Olivia. Our main energies, we're going to be working with hexagram 12, standstill, release. This is the bigger, because this is all about, that youthful folly, try again. It all culminates into a 4. So we're looking at how we move through small restraint and we cautiously advance and so forth and socialize, fellowship, how we reunite, bring ourselves back together. But it's really about this youthful folly, try again. But we're at this moment, in essence, I'm using air quotes, you can't, of standstill, release. We are releasing the past. We are in that peduncle moment. And if you don't know what a peduncle is, it is the narrowest part of something that has a larger aspect to it. So think of like a wine bottle. So the neck of the bottle is known as the peduncle. And that's where we are at this moment. We are closing out a 9-year, 2025 is a 9-year, and we're closing out a 9-year cycle. All the major planets are shifting and changing signs within a 14, 16-month window. It's unprecedented, astrologically speaking. And so we're at that final moment before it's like, boom, we're released, and so when you think of a champagne bottle, a wine bottle, when you pop the cork, that is the release of the peduncle, and of course then the volume of what's behind that peduncle is released. That's what we're dealing with. And so, and just to give you a quick look, here is the astrological chart for Neptune stationing direct. That is happening today/tomorrow, depending on where you are in the world. There's so much going on. There is the kite formation in this astrology. There is a grand water trine. There are many grand trines. There is a direct opposition between Uranus, the higher mind, and expect the unexpected, and little brother Mercury and Black Moon Lilith directly across on that red line across the chart. And Mercury, of course, how we think, speak, our thoughts, our words, communication, electronics, these types of things. Black Moon Lilith, and they're just almost at that final anaretic degree of Scorpio before they move into Sagittarius. And we're going to have a stellium of planets, Mars, the Sun, Venus, a lot of fortune, Black Moon Lilith, and Mercury for a few days, all in Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius is known as the archer. And so we have this beautiful aspect, and I'm just going to go to it first because we're kind of setting the scene with this, that this chart, Neptune going direct, and remember, this is the final time in our lifetimes that both Saturn and Neptune will be in Pisces, the end of the astrological wheel. Now, Saturn may come back around. Yes, okay. Neptune, no. And so, because we typically have 3 cycles of Saturn, just so you all know, in our lifetimes. But with Neptune, no. So this is the final time, and it's the end. It's at 29 degrees. It's moving. It will go direct, and I think it's February. It re-enters Aries of 2026. So the Sagittarius archer symbolizes humanity's quest for truth, wisdom, and exploration, represented by a centaur, half horse, half man, aiming a bow and arrow, signifying the connection between our earthly nature and higher knowledge. The arrow points toward higher ideals, representing the pursuit of justice, freedom, philosophy, and adventure, while the archer's traits include optimism, independence, blunt honesty, and a love for learning. This is all about expansion and truth and advance and a higher octave that this Sagittarius, the archer, is aiming for. And it's number 6 from the unseen, which denotes spirit and service. And it's Sagittarius, the archer, attaining wisdom beyond words. And then it was these mentions of like baptism by fire and Pentecost and the Holy Spirit. And of course, Pentecost is when the Holy Spirit descends upon those that were gathered. It illuminates them. You see in the drawings, there's flames above their head. So this is a attaining wisdom beyond words. This peduncle moment, this expansion that's just before us, where all these major planets shifting signs, and how it ushers in a revolution, a renewal. Further meanings of the archer is this quest for knowledge. The arrow aims for truth, representing the Sagittarian desire to learn and expand horizons. So this isn't about stagnation or staying where we're stuck, be it where we've been or going backwards. This is about arcing out to the, what's beyond, what's unknown to us. Freedom and exploration. The archer is always looking outward, symbolizing a love for travel, adventure, and breaking boundaries, breaking horizons. A higher purpose. The centaur links the physical, the horse, with the intellectual, the human, aiming beyond the material world for spiritual growth. This is enlightenment. And then justice and impact. The bow and arrow represent using skills and knowledge to make a positive, transformative impact. So this is really about transformation, a universal impact and upgrade. That's what this has all been building towards, this entire journey of Weekly Wisdom and Insights since, November 17th, 2021. And many of you have been here throughout this, 4 now into 5 years journey. Well, here we are at the peduncle, and just, Sagittarius, the archer, aiming, and it transcends just hitting the bullseye. I mean, it's what happens when we do, and what is expansive beyond that. Well, with this chart, with this Neptune direct chart and the Sagittarius aspects and everything I just mentioned, then there was this, what came with it in the astrological influences was asteroid, bottle rocket, blast off. Now, a few years back, we had this image, blast off. Things are moving fast. Things are moving fast, and you will see how they accelerate, because with this aspect of, let me just go back to it really quickly, the asteroid bottle rocket blast off. Well, it speaks to, it's number 1 from the unseen, and I heard thrust and propulsion, Newton's laws of motion. And this, a bottle rocket, when you put a bottle rocket, it's the force at the bottom that lifts the rocket, and this is true in this thrust and propulsion. Well, this is speaking to how we are all being thrust, lifted, propulsion lifted, to a higher octave. And they said it's just a matter of time. So everything's, divine order, divine will. It's about everything happening in its proper order, because there are no mistakes, So this is about the right timing of the events. Welcome, Colleen. This correct order, this Newton's law of motion, thrust and propulsion. So the force, the magnitude, the force to lift us to a higher octave. And it brings me to our mantra, as above, so below. And this beautiful image, the rising sun, the purple and oranges and magentas, and then you see it reflected in the water, the body of water, a lake, a pond, the exact same image with that tree of life. So this as above, so below. So as these elements, these activities, astrological events occur above, it mirrors, it affects us, it mirrors below. 2 from the unseen is the number 222. And so before we get to our main theme, but I just want to go to 222. We're setting the stage for all of this. So the spiritual meaning of 222 is a powerful message of faith, balance, and alignment, urging you to trust that you're on the right path, even when things seem uncertain. This is certainly, we're all looking at the world stage, and there's great uncertainty, and yet there's a knowing. There's a knowing that the old deconstruction collapses, the new rises. It's just a matter of time. Divine order, divine alignment, divine will, as above, so below, and this Newton's law of motion, this thrust and propulsion. 222 signifies divine support, encourages harmonious relationships, and signals that your positive thoughts and intentions are manifesting into reality, bringing opportunities for growth and validation. And so this is about alignment and relationships and the world we want. So we must be that first. We radiate it from within. That multiplies, it amplifies, it connects. Like-minded people, relationships, community, unity. So 222 is a reminder that the universe, the unseen, the divine, God, is to have faith and believe in yourself and your journey, assuring you that things are unfolding as they should. The number emphasizes creating balance in your life, especially in relationships, encouraging communication, understanding, and compromise. And compromise in the sense of when it's in alignment with your highest, your deepest good, your highest good. This isn't compromise just, never compromise with corruption. This isn't about compromising with corruption. This is about compromise where it's a win-win. Everybody's being lifted, valued, recognized. Its manifestation. Your current mindset is aligning with the unseen, with the universe, making it a potent time to manifest your desires. Validation and support. It can signal divine validation for your efforts, suggesting your hard work will be rewarded and signs will appear. In terms of, and essentially seeing number 222. So if you start to see it, but it's number 2 from the unseen, this 222, it's a positive sign to stay grounded, maintain faith, and work towards equilibrium, knowing that divine forces are supporting your path. The unseen is supporting our path. The unseen is the host, the master weaver, the all that is. This beautiful, I'm just going to bring it up, our mantra again, this as above, so below. Well, divine harmony, divine balance, divine equity. And so when we recognize and see that within ourselves, welcome, Linda. When we see that in ourselves, we then radiate it outward. And so it is this beautiful aspect of being in alignment with the divine, with the unseen, and knowing that we're being supported. So now let's jump into our main theme, and this is just so beautiful. And what I heard was, fly like an eagle. Things are moving fast. Neptune direct. So with this Neptune stationing direct, which occurs today, and then again it's into early February of 2026 is when it re-enters Aries. And so again, it will not be back in Pisces in our lifetime. And so things are moving fast. Fly like an eagle. Well, of course, eagle medicine, the spirit animal, the eagle is prominent in Native American traditions. It symbolizes power, freedom, vision, courage, and a deep connection to and with the divine, acting as a messenger between Earth and the Creator. It represents soaring above challenges, gaining clarity, embracing personal truth, and tapping into the Great Spirit's grace for spiritual insight and guidance, with feathers used in sacred ceremonies for healing and honor. So we have this beautiful, image of this. I just love this. Fly like an eagle. Things are moving fast because there's an awareness here from the unseen of, now that this is shifting, Mercury's direct, Saturn's direct, Neptune is stationing direct. And Saturn and Neptune are at those final degrees of Pisces. Well, again, it's the end of an era. It's the end of a way. And thereby they go into the 0 degrees and they will co-present in Aries for almost a year-ish, so they're which is, again, not usual astrologically, that these 2 major planets are going to co-present in the early degrees of Aries, which begins our astrological wheel. 2026 is a 10-year, which is a 1-year. It's a new cycle, a new beginning. So it's going to set the tone for the next 9 years. So we're looking at eagle medicine, and the unseen is saying, fly like an eagle, have greater clarity, greater connection with the divine, your soul source connection. Recognize, your expansiveness, your levity, your lightness, and allow that to radiate and connect with others and release others that aren't. It's not always fun or easy. However, the point is that, we're meant to align to our highest octave. Well, that means associating everything's energy. So it's about radiating so that we magnetize that same octave of energy. The eagle flies highest and closest to the Creator, carrying prayers and channeling divine knowledge. Its sharp eyesight symbolizes seeing the bigger picture, gaining profound insights, and overcoming obstacles with a higher perspective. This is true in our personal relationships, let alone the big worldview picture. So where can we pierce the veil and see the bigger picture, gain, profound insights, overcome obstacles, get a higher perspective? It teaches personal power, independence, and the bravery to rise above earthly problems and live authentically. It's not about shoulda, woulda, coulds. It's about I am. What is true and authentic for me? That may not resonate or be what's right for someone else. And so that's a higher perspective, is to recognize that with great grace, release it, and elevate. And lastly, it represents enduring hardships, finding new beginnings, and personal transformation, like the myth of being reborn by fire. There's that. It's that piece, the Sagittarius, the archer, attaining wisdom beyond words, Pentecost, baptism by fire, Holy Spirit. So fly like an eagle. It's like personal transformation, being reborn by fire and water. It's a symbol, the eagle is a symbol of integrity, honor, and truthful principles. Can't stress enough about being true to yourself, meaning, do not, your soul already has this beautiful trajectory and map, and there's a main route. There are many, side roads and so forth, detours, but we don't have to take them. We can stay true to who we are and listen and go as guided and say, this is my most expedient path. This is my highest path. This is the one that's way up here. Now I can go off over down here. I can get lost and I can take, a decade or whatever it may be. Or I can take seconds and go, no, this isn't right for me. Let me get back on my main route. And to stay true to that, especially in the face of when others want you to stay detoured, as opposed to aligning with your highest path, your truest calling. So now let's take a look at, God, there's so much here. And all of this peduncle moment, we're going to go to our key word, which is purification. And with this, so again, keep in mind this whole, all of the final planets shifting, this peduncle moment, the, fly like an eagle, things are moving fast, Neptune's going direct, and this purification. The act or an instance of purifying or being purified. The removal of contaminants from something. The act or the process of making something pure and free of any contaminating, debasing, or foreign elements. The process of making something spiritually or ceremonially clean. This massive ending and beginning, it's purification. It is about showing up in the new, in this new era, pure. And so we've talked about this, like, pure doesn't mean perfect. Pure simply means that we're in alignment with soul source connection. We're in alignment with divine will and order, where we're going, as above, so below. And we are taking the necessary steps to empty our vessels, to purge our environments, our people, places, things, polish our stone, exercise our soul. So polish and hone our soul so that all of that purifies, releases, it empties the vessel, it makes space for the new. It creates new life, new opportunity. So again, in a very tangible manner, and one of the easiest ways to do this is, within our environments, our homes, things of that nature. What might we release? What might we donate? Give away, sell, release to the refuge, to the garbage, so to speak, so that it creates a levity. We're lightening ourselves so that all of this lifts us and aligns us with the divine order, the divine time, so that as opportunities present themselves, we're able to accept them. We're in this alignment. So we have this beautiful keyword of purification. And you see it's running, beautiful blue, running waters over nature, a riverbed, this type of thing. It's that kind of moving waters purify. And that's another way to also purify is if there's a local river, creek, there's a place that's peaceful, you can go and just stand, if there's a bridge or something, stand over the water as it's moving. And you'll feel that, especially when it's really pure, beautiful water, you'll actually feel it. And that's a release, a purification. I did that. I get motion sickness very easily when I'm in a car or driving. And I was in France and I literally stopped and pulled over, and there was a creek, very, forcefully moving, but beautifully. And I just stood, and it literally took all of the nausea, that motion sickness away within minutes. So there's a purifying of it. There's it releases and it moves through you. So that's another beautiful way to work with this purification energy. Now let's go. I'm going to go to Channing Nicholas. And she's setting the tone in one way, and then we're going to go to another astrologer who's setting the tone in another way. But with Channing Nicholas, this is the weekly issue number 95. And she says, blocked, ? Here comes a boost. And she has an image of a rocket. So here's our rocket. We've had this, it came a few years back. So she's talking about this. Here comes a boost. This week starts with a stop sign and ends with a boost. When Mars and Saturn square off on Monday, progress is likely to get stalled in your projects and personal life. If you get frustrated, simplify. There are plenty of distractions on the horizon, so lock in on what's most important. Light bulb moments will also be coming in hot, but you may end up with more questions than answers, especially when Mars squares. So Mars is going to square. That's a frictional aspect in astrology. It means it needs release. So Mars is going to square Neptune at the end of the week. That feeling of being lost is short-lived. On the same day, on Sunday, December 14th, the planet of action, Mars, moves into Capricorn, one of the signs it's most productive in. This combination kickstarts momentum we can ride throughout the end of the year and into 2026. So there is going to be this force to be reckoned with as we shoot out of the peduncle, out of that neck of the bottle, poof, into the new year. There's a lot coming. We're the 10th of December. There's still 21 days left, plus into the early. What the unseen is saying is that there is a lot happening. There's a lot to come. There's a lot when that release explosion occurs. As Linda's saying, wow. There's going to be a lot of wow moments, mic drop moments. There's a lot of releasing and renewing. That's the easiest way. And so just be in alignment with that. Be okay with letting go of the past, of what you've outlived. Yes, there can be melancholy and sadness and so forth. Yes, however, that doesn't mean that it's not what's correct or right or in divine order and will. Everything's purposeful. And so it's just how we move with that. So now I want to move to Astro Butterfly. And they are speaking about the astrology of December 2025, preparing for a new era. December 2025 carries the feeling of, quote, the moment before everything happens. We're talking about wow moments. We're talking about the peduncle. We're talking about Newton's law of motion, this thrust and propulsion that's going to be literally just rocketing us forward. Well, astrobutterfly.com is talking about the moment before everything changes. Neptune stations direct in the last degrees of Pisces, the last degree of Pisces. A full moon squares the nodes. That Gemini full moon, that super moon, whew, I don't know about all of you, but that Friday, Saturday, Sunday energies, it was everything from rage to tears. It was just intense. So Neptune stations direct in the last degree of Pisces. A full moon squares the nodes. The nodes are the moon where humanity's going and what we're releasing. And a new moon touches the galactic center, the Archer, the galactic center. It's in Sagittarius. I believe it's 24, 26 degrees Sagittarius. All pointing to a shift that's been a long time coming. There's a sense of inevitability, like we're being prepared for something larger than ourselves, something that officially begins in early 2026, with the first half of the month drenched in Sagittarius. December, the arrow flies and the preparation begins. By the time we move into the Capricorn season, the path becomes ever clearer. See, things are going to become crystal clear. Mic drop moments, wow moments, a lot being shed, released, brought to light. December feels like standing with one foot in the old world and one foot in the new. We've talked about this a lot. The story is changing, and we're changing with it. On December 10th, 11th, today, tomorrow, Neptune turns direct at 29 degrees Pisces, the very last degree of the zodiac. From now on, my friend, there's really no turning back. And that was something that really kind of put a period at the end of the sentence of these energies. And remember, these energies, while they're for the week, they arc out. They can arc out months, years, and into the future. But that statement, there's really no turning back, was like the period, the exclamation point at the end of the sentence. There is no turning back. And so, with both Saturn and Neptune direct in the final degrees of Pisces, the momentum starts building towards the big one. And she's got this, Astro Butterfly has this in capital letters, big one. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries in February of 2026. That's when they will co-present. They will both be at 0 degrees, and they'll co-present for, I think it's about a year or so going forward. One long 165-year journey is coming to an end. Pay attention to what's reaching its inevitable culmination, what's completing itself, so a completely new cycle can begin. So not only the 9-year cycle is ending, completing, but Neptune's 165-year, this long year journey is ending. On December 11th, Mercury is opposing Uranus. They're directly across from each other, and so they'll be exact. And this is for the 3rd time. This opposition is particularly important because it's last in the series of 3. So it comes with some sort of conclusion or breakthrough. So you'll, again, and conclusion and breakthrough, they're kind of they can be the same thing. It can be the ending of something, the conclusion, and then of course the release, that thrust and propulsion that releases us and we break through. The whole saga started back at the end of October when Mercury and Uranus met for the first time. Midway through, the second hit coincided with the new moon in Scorpio in November. And now we reach the 3rd and final chapter, where the plot twist finally makes sense. Pay attention to any thread that started brewing back then. So we're talking about back when this first started in October, and see what culminates, because it's now going to finally make sense. Pay attention to any thread that started brewing back then and is now coming full circle. Given Mercury is direct now, we can expect surprising, and to some, not that surprising, news, insights, or realizations to land. And this just brings us to our first quote, which is, "The best future always comes from understanding the past." Why? Because it's wisdom. And when we learn from the past, we don't repeat it. We harness the wisdom of that. We don't denigrate ourselves or others. Everything is choice. It's number 7 from the unseen. There are no mistakes, only choices. So the best future always comes from understanding the past. And this is a beautiful quote from astrobutterfly.com. So it's just to recognize, where are we harnessing our innate wisdom and power, our empowerment? Where have we given it away? And to reclaim it. Because when we do that, then we're aligned, we're listening, we're aligned, we're on the right trajectory, the right path. So when the divine, that helping hand, that divine order lifts us, and we talk about, this is the tower, right? In the tarot, it's the tower card. The tower typically is depicted as something, air quotes, negative, because it's like the cosmic 2x4 coming out and just whacking the crud out of us because we're not listening, we're not in alignment. Equally, when we are, it can be a tower moment that, that swings the other direction and lifts us, just lifts us up to where we're meant to be. It's quantum leaps forward. It's these wonderful, like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Pinch yourself moments in a good way, where you're smiling, not where you're like, oh, I just got the crud knocked out of me by the universe, by the unseen. You don't want that tower. You want a positive tower. Now let's move to hexagram 12, because hexagram 12 is about standstill. And so it can feel like, in this moment, it can feel stagnant, stuck, this standstill, but here comes the thrust and propulsion. Here comes the peduncle. Here comes the release, the breakthroughs. So this is from Carrie Hone at cafeausoul.com. Hexagram 12 is standstill. Its action is release. So see that when that cork pops out of its release, it's releasing everything that's behind it. It's being moved forward, moved out. Its hidden influence is development. It's to permeate. That this energy is going to permeate, that with baptism by fire, it's going to permeate us so that we develop, we rise. Its underlining cause is peace, relax, like exhale, take a breath. So quote number 2, contentment cannot be held in the hand, but lives perpetually in the heart. So it is about when we're content, but content doesn't mean stagnant. Content doesn't mean do nothing. It just means that contentment lives perpetually in the heart, not in the hand. So that, in essence, it's about being, not doing. And thereby, no matter what, we're listening, we're in alignment. And quote number 3 is, fresh activity is the only means of overcoming adversity. This is a quote by Goff. So fresh activity. We want this peduncle moment. We want this thrust and propulsion moment, this being uplifted, expanded, released. And by golly, as above, so below, that's what's happening. That's what's going to happen, is this release from the past. So Carrie Hone, cafeosoul.com, hexagram 12, which is standstill, release. Our desire for the familiar and to know peace can often lead us away from further growth. Therefore, after a time of peace as the underlying cause, a situation can lead to stagnation or standstill. We are asked to release something so that development can proceed. The purpose of receiving this hexagram is to remind you that all of life changes and moves toward growth. So all of life changes. It's constant. And it moves towards growth. Humans cannot remain on the sidelines. It can be frustrating to throw your enthusiasm against the course of events that seem to have placed you in a holding pattern. Patience is how you release your sense of urgency and allow the outcome to unfold. This is about being proactive, not reactive. In alignment with your soul source connection, in alignment with divine time, divine will, divine order, because your soul, that is the map of your soul. Divine order, divine time, divine will. And so it's to allow the ego, mind, personality, human, calm down, breathe, patience, peace, release that, and allow things to unfold so that we're not swimming upriver, working harder than we need to. The hidden influence allows for the development of a new awareness, skills, or ways of interacting with the world. It brings epiphany moments. It brings this awareness to us that says, am I swimming upriver? Am I banging my head against the wall? Am I not listening? And we know when we're not listening. We know when ego, mind, personality, human is dictating and the show and driving, versus soul source connection, your soul wisdom, your knowing that says, calm down, everything's okay. It's not time yet. Or we just need you to be patient. Hold on. Because it's like a beautiful orchestration, like antique gears. Everything has to line up. Click, 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 click. Boop, open, release. Now you move forward. But if we try to preempt that, it's an S show. So don't want that. So the hidden influence is development of new awareness, skills, or ways of interacting with the world. To learn how to be steadfast, one must relinquish expectation, assumptions, and impatience. Relinquish expectation, assumptions, and impatience. Just as winter appears as a time when the world appears lifeless, there is much going on in your underground world. There's much happening in the unseen that we may not be consciously aware of. We might be intuitively aware of it, and thereby that's what we're to listen to. 10,000 seeds are becoming the landscape of your spring. When you feel frustrated, take a walk in the woods or nature. You'll be amazed at the realizations you will have when you are away from your phone and your computer. In fact, if you were to have a conversation with trees and bushes, with nature, they might ask you, why do you walk in circles when life plants you exactly where you need to be? It's not always, it's that beautiful quote, everywhere you go, there you are. So it's not about always just changing places, because if you haven't changed, well, then the old you arrives in the new place, as opposed to getting it where we are. Understand things where we are, higher perspective, expansion, releasing, and aligning. Discover the contentment of following life on its terms. Follow the great circle and allow standstill to unleash an innovative approach within you. So standstill, again, does not mean do nothing. It is an active, proactive, participatory energy that says, I am ever listening. I'm ever going as guided. I know when to act. I know when not to act. And I can, and you'll recognize when you're battling your ego, mind, personality versus your soul. And the quicker you recognize, wait a minute, this is my human. This frustration or irritation or impatience or whatever, that's my human. When you ask your soul, is everything okay? Are we fine? Is everything? You hear a very peaceful yes. Like you'll know when to do it, but we are human. So there's this aspect of this is honing and polishing the stone and exercising our soul is to recognize that and then to listen to our soul and say, okay, let me release that. I'm fine. We're fine. I'll know when they're right. I'll know what to do. I'll know when to take the step, when to make the phone call, when to send an email, when to not. And it will be in alignment in my highest and best soul path, soul trajectory, which brings about accelerated abundance, ascendance, activity, joy. That's how we receive it. Let me go back to, because there's so many. Number 3 from the unseen, they said ramparts, steady as she goes. And then I heard American symbolism and ideals. I started hearing lyrics from the Star Spangled Banner. And then it goes into number 4, which is a song by Jefferson's Starship. So 3 and 4 go together. Ramparts, steady as she goes. And then it's not over till it's over. Well, what the unseen is speaking about, let's go to Star Spangled Banner first. No, American symbolism and ideals. See, they guide. They tell me exactly where they want me to go, the unseen. So American symbolism centers on core ideals like freedom, democracy, opportunity, and unity, represented by icons like the American flag, the Statue of Liberty, the bald eagle, and Uncle Sam. It's democracy and freedom. It's governance by the people, for the people, of the people that represents liberty and rights. It's about equality and opportunity, chances for success through hard work, regardless of background. It's about individualism and work ethic, high value placed on personal achievement, productivity, and self-reliance. And it's about justice and resilience, striving for fairness, perseverance, and strength. And so the unseen here is, and these symbols and ideals collectively build a national identity, uniting Americans through shared history, aspirations, and cultural codes, even as the nation strives to live up to its founding principles. So while we see, and this speaks to everyone, where the unseen is using American symbolism and ideals as a backdrop, but it's for the world. It's for all of us, 8.4 billion souls on the planet. That it's not over as we see things collapsing. But what we're also witnessing is the construction, the renewal of something. And in its deconstruction, in the worst of it, we're able to see, air quotes, what's wrong. Where did we not live up to the ideal, to the symbolism, to the founding principles? And what do we need to do to correct that, to safeguard that for the future? And then it also is bringing in the Star Spangled Banner, these ramparts. And the Star Spangled Banner is America's national anthem. It symbolizes American resilience, patriotism, and freedom, originating from Francis Scott Key's 1814 poem, inspired by the large U.S. flag still flying over Fort McHenry after a British bombardment during the War of 1812, representing the nation's survival and defiance. There's a bombardment. There is this war, in a way, going on about what does liberty and freedom and justice and patriotism and resilience, what's the real definition of that? What does that look like to us? And thereby The unseen is saying ramparts, steady as she goes, meaning divine will, divine order. This isn't about the abolition of American democracy or these American symbolism and ideals. It's talking about reaching the purity of them, purification, the purity of them. This next, we're going back to where we began, an octave higher, that we actually reinforce these founding principles and ideals. We're just going through the goo of the current Piscean, patriarchal, divine masculine era, but the shadow aspects of them. In their highest purity, we want a healthy ego, mind, personality. We love chivalry. We love the divine, the creative force, the divine masculine in its purity, not in its fall, in its shadow, in its goo. And so we have this ramparts, steady as she goes, because it's talking about, oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. This is about steady as she goes, that it's not over till it's over. And what ultimately triumphs is the purity of the divine masculine, the purity of this American symbolism and ideals, meaning liberty, equality, justice. Are we walking and working through that final deconstruction of the past? Yes. It's not fun, it's not pretty, it's not for the faint of heart, and yet it is. There are no mistakes, only choices. It's based on individual and collective choices. And the world over, this isn't just about America, this is the world over. Where do we see our goo, our corruption, where we've fallen short as humans, entrusted with this highest octave of purity, equality, liberty, divinity, freedom? And what have we chosen to do with it? Did we protect it? Did we revere it? Did we reinforce it? Did we lift everyone up? Or did we, in a sense, destroy it? Or we haven't destroyed it completely, because obviously this is saying from the unseen, it's not over till it's over. And the ramparts, it says, even though it's being bombarded, we're being bombarded. But these ideals are so innate within all of us. This isn't just Americans. This is everyone. Every walk of life, 8.4 billion souls. The unseen is saying to you, these ideals are innate within all of you. What are you doing to reinforce the purity of that narrative, of that world, of that energy? And it's a game changer because it begins within. So the minute we do it with ourselves, then it radiates out. Then we're doing it with our loved ones and our relationships, our friendships, then at work. Then it's going out into our communities. And you can see how it just multiplies, it ripples. So there's a beauty in this ramparts, steady as she goes. It's not over till it's over. There's a lot more to come in this, Sagittarius, the archer, attaining wisdom beyond words. So now let's move into moon omens. And moonomens.com is talking about dissolution and surrender. It's Neptune direct in Pisces. Dissolution and surrender. And surrender meaning not white flag giving up, but surrender to divine will, divine order. So again, today on December 10th, Neptune stations direct at 29 degrees of Pisces. After more than a decade in his home sign, Neptune is preparing to leave Pisces for the final time in our lifetimes. This is a moment of dissolution, surrender, and letting go. A moment to wrap up loose ends and trust that whatever is leaving our lives right now is making space for something more aligned. Neptune will complete his transit in Pisces on January 26th, 2026, and on March 30th, 2025, Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, will remain in the sign of the Ram. So Neptune is going to remain in the sign of the Ram, and yet it is the ruler of Pisces. It's going to be there until 2038 to 2039. So we're talking about 13, 14 years. If I'm doing my math right, yes. So named after the mythological god of the ocean, Neptune in astrology is associated with the collective unconscious, the collective emotional body, and the place where our souls come from and will return. The modern ruler of Pisces is connected to all those forces beyond our control and comprehension that were here before we incarnated and will remain here when we're long gone, meaning on Earth. Neptune's essence cannot be grasped with linear and rational mind, nor can it be clearly defined. It is too vast to be confined by definitions and too subtle to be explained. It's a knowing. It's like liberty and justice and equality and freedom. They're knowings, they're truths, they're knowings. It must be something felt through music, art, and dance. It's emotive. So to really understand Neptune, highest ideals, but also illusion, delusion, we connect with it through emotions, through music, art, dance, things that inspire. And through those spiritual experiences that open us up to a connection with something much greater than ourselves, the divine, the unseen, God, however you wish to identify. In Pisces, Neptune teaches us to surrender, to soften our grip, and to let go of the persona we have conditioned to cling to. That's about letting go of our ego, mind, personality, human. All the stories, the scripts, the identities, the labels, the masks, the belongings, all these things that we amass to say, oh, this is who I am. No, Pisces and Neptune says soften your grip. Let go of the persona you've conditioned or created so that you may cling to, so that you arrive at the purity of who you are. What's at your center? In his highest expression, Neptune, this transit can dissolve the walls around our hearts. However, a distorted relationship with these energies can result in losing touch with the ground. Neptune transits always require us to sharpen our discernment, releasing illusions. When Neptune is retrograde, the veil becomes thinner. Illusions are uncovered, and what is true in an absolute sense is revealed. We're going to get a lot of what's true, and it's going to be revealed because it's stationing direct. And when a planet stations, it's amplified, it's magnified, it's more powerful. Its energies. Neptune has been retrograde since July 4th of 2025. This retrograde started in Aries, and with the powerful invitation to align our personal will and desires with divine will and life's plan for us. So we've been asked during this time, empty your vessel, hone and polish your stone, align your will with divine will, because we're right at that peduncle moment to receive greater aspects. Well, we can't receive them if we're clinging and cleaving to the past. We must make space, make room for them. On October 22nd, Neptune retrograded back into Pisces, inviting us to face something we might have been avoiding, pointing at where we may have been caught in idealism, escapism, ungrounded fantasies, or spiritual bypassing. Neptune's final retrograde through his home sign asked us to allow the disillusion of what's meant to end and invited us to release the old to allow a new chapter to begin. This transit challenged us to stay in the space of not knowing without rushing to fill it or make sense of the process. Humans want to rush forward. We want to know. But that's not the way this works. You know, the unseen says, it's the hermit with the lantern. We're going to show you the next few steps out. Or you might get an entire knowing in an instant. Okay. However, Neptune's transit, this transit challenged us to stay in the space of not knowing We don't know what's on the other side of the peduncle, on the cork being shot out of the bottle. We haven't been there yet. We can see where we've been. It's not pretty. There's a lot of cleanup to do. There's a lot of hazmat that needs to happen. A lot of purification. But that's the beauty of it. It's cyclical. And we do have the opportunity to purify, to cleanse, to empty our vessels, to align. We are always afforded that opportunity. There are no mistakes, only choices. It's a choice. So individually, collectively, am I choosing this higher ideal? Am I choosing to align with it? Am I choosing to invite it in? Am I choosing the new? Number 5 from the unseen is awakened in the night. You'll know exactly what to do. And then this came in with last week's owl medicine, like owl, night vision, piercing the veil of illusion. So number 5, 5s are about change. So awakened in the night. So again, you may have a dream. You may be literally awakened. I've had this happen many times where it's not a dream. I'm awakened by the unseen with messages, and it's coming through very clearly. And it's write it down, voice record it, whatever you need to do, memorize it so that upon waking, you'll retain it. But this is awakened in the night. You'll know exactly what to do. So there's individually, collectively, this applies. What have you been asking for direction and guidance on? Knowing what's my next step, all of these things. Awakened in the night, you'll know exactly what to do. And this owl night vision, being able to see through the darkness, the illusion, clarity, these moments of clarity. Now let's move to Astrology by Lauren. And she's also talking, all of this, you can see Neptune direct, Neptune direct, Neptune direct. Because it's fly like an eagle, things are moving fast. And this chart that is associated, this astrological chart that's associated with Neptune going direct, there's a lot happening, and there's a lot, and it's beautiful. You'll see, I just want to bring it up again one more time. You'll see all of these beautiful, harmonious blue, all the blue lines, the triangles, and their sextiles and trines and mini grand trines. All of those are harmonious aspects in astrology. So again, it's not like this isn't individually or collectively a cosmic 2x4 whack, but there are some in there. You see the direct opposition from Uranus with, again, Mercury and Black Moon Lilith. There are squares. That's an opposition. There are squares between Mars and Saturn and Neptune. There's a square between the Moon and Black Moon Lilith and Mercury. So there are some frictional aspects. There's another square between the Moon and Uranus. So the Moon reveals. Uranus, expect the unexpected. There are aspects here that are that. But there's also all of this, beautiful grand water trine, the kite formation, this archer that's saying to us, batter up, here we go. So I just want to go, yes, we're going to do Astrology by Lauren. And she, again, today, Neptune station's ending its retrograde phase, which began in early July. If Neptune were to desire anything for us, it would be to find deeper meaning and purpose in our very real lives, while also recognizing ourselves as being part of something much greater than our own individual self. Neptune wants highest ideals. It wants the most for us in a way that is in alignment with purity, divine, the divine will and order of things, not ego, mind, personality, me, I. That's the old Piscean patriarchal era. So here it's shifting, it's moving. So it wants for us something greater, and that greater than our individual selves, and in alignment with the collective, the whole. Neptune, when strong, imbues us with compassion, inspires us to be charitable, and fills us with a social conscience. It identifies with higher causes and with those things that invest our lives with wonder and enchantment. Think of little kids. Think of dogs, pets. They just come in love. There's innocence, there's purity, there's joy. That's what they know. Well, we as adults need to remember that. We need to bring it back to the forefront so that we rise up and meet and greet the time that is before us, the one that's right here. And this era, this time came before. So let us rise to the occasion. Astrology by Lauren. This year, Neptune makes an exact sextile, that's a harmonious aspect in astrology, to Uranus as it stations. This has something of a global effect in that those same ideals are being experienced and being put into application as a collective. So these Neptunian ideals are not unlike the American symbolism and ideals. These ramparts steady as she goes. It's not over till it's over. The unseen is saying it may look like the world is burning, but it's not over until it's over. And Neptune wants the best for us, the most for us. American symbolism and ideals at its founding, it was unprecedented. Well, this isn't a moment to regress and go backwards and be all the shady things that was literally at the founding fathers' forethought. They were guiding against a mad king, against dictatorship and so forth. This kind of authoritarian existence. And so they wrote these beautiful ideals. They created this beautiful country. They said, let us reach our highest aspirations, our highest octave, our highest ideals. So if Neptune were to desire anything for us, that's what it's desiring for us. We must choose that on a every second, everyday basis. Astrology by Lauren. This year, Neptune makes an exact sextile to Uranus as it stations. Again, a harmonious aspect. This has something of a global effect in that those same ideals are being experienced and being put into application as a collective. You may have seen humanity leaning in a certain direction lately. This is a direction that aims to take hold in the fabric of our collective lives, leaning towards humanitarian pursuits, leading with our ideals rather than our pockets. Social changes which take into consideration the betterment of humanity as a whole and challenge old concepts and policies that limit the evolutionary progress of society and progressive growth and change both individually and collectively. I hope that everyone can see how interwoven this all is. The purity of this idealism, these Neptunian ideals, the American symbolism and ideals, but as an example for the world. One can argue, socio-political things. We're talking about the ideals. We're talking about the purity of these ideals. And those are human. They transcend nation. They transcend boundary. Astrology by Lauren. There is no judgment here. However, the Uranus in Virgo, because Uranus is in Virgo, sextile Neptune in Scorpio, of the 60s, so this is when it happened prior, helped inspire many of the movements of the late 60s, as well as the music that inspired a generation. Hello Bell Bottoms, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, the civil rights, women's rights, and anti-war movements, health food stores, and Earth Day. So Uranus in Virgo, sextile Neptune in Scorpio. Astrology is cyclical. It's not identical, but it's cyclical. So when this last happened, here's all these things that came from it and that occurred in the 60s. It almost seems essential for us to bring ourselves more in alignment with our own inner Neptune, our ideals, our divine nature, and that which we identify with spirituality. It is that divine spark of magic that is the essence of Neptune and our most profound aspirations. Therefore, dare to feel more, dare to see more, dare to hear more, dare to sense more, dare to believe in miracles. They are all around us this week and arcing out, and even closer than you could possibly imagine. So this fly like an eagle, I'm just bringing up the main Fly like an eagle. Things are moving fast. Neptune direct. This is about thrust and propulsion. It's about the peduncle. It's just a matter of time. It's 222 energy. It is about this expansion, as above, so below. It could not be more applicable if we tried. And it's about purification. It's about releasing the past, emptying our vessels, and aligning with the purity of the moment. These ramparts, steady as she goes. So as things are being bombed and bombarded, we're at war in a sense, per se. I'm using that, metaphorically. The unseen is saying to us, but we've got your back. Steady as she goes. It's not over till it's over. And awakened in the night, you'll know exactly what to do. And this Sagittarius, the archer, attaining wisdom beyond words. Because there are no mistakes. This is divine. There are no mistakes, only choices. So, cannot wait to see what happens next week. These energies, we're in the peduncle moment, soul family. So, steady as she goes, have faith, have hope, stay aligned with your soul source connection, stay aligned with your light, with your authentic self. When your ego, mind, personality, human raises or rears its head, whether it's in yourself or you see it in others, grace. Do your best to pivot from that and just to realign, come back to center, and keep moving forward, knowing that the unseen is asking us, guiding us to fly like an eagle, to take a higher view. It's not over till it's over. So, thank you all so much for your presence, your time, your energy, your love, your absolute everything on this journey. It's amazing, and I'm just honored to be, traveling it and journeying it with you. We'll see you next week.